put my flag. Hang on.
Let me fly.
Let's go. She told me that she loves me very much. And I told her I do too. She is very nice.
Hasta luego.
Gracias.
¿Cuánto falta para, qué se llama? Para, no, donde se ha fundado la ciudad de La Paz. Es más. No, vamos a tener que pasar.
¿Boleto de viaje tienes para Tiwanaku?
No.
Tiwanaku.
A Tiwanaku.
Pregúntale, Teddy, ¿cómo está la carretera?
Okay, the reason why we have been on back roads is because a lot of people are on strike here on the Altiplano, the local Aymara population. So we've had to take a detour, but we are determined as ever to go to Puma Punku. And luckily today, we have an engineer with us from Australia and also a nurse from Australia. So we'll get their expertise as regards the structures at Puma Punku and any human remains we happen to stumble across. Okay, we're at Tiwanaku with Antonio Portugal, a famous Bolivian author, and has been studying this site for 40 years. We also have the great fortune to have with us Cliff, who is an engineer from Australia. So what we're going to focus on are the surfaces at Puma Punku, and also using a compass, the magnetic, so as I was trying to say before the battery died, excuse me, we're at 13,000 feet above sea level, and we're going to focus on the surfaces at Puma Punku and also the magnetic anomalies there. So we've brought a really good compass, and we're going to see if there's a relationship between the surfaces, the angles, and the magnetism. So due to there being strikes on the highway between La Paz and here, Puma Punku, we literally have the site to ourselves. And so that'll allow us to get inside and take detailed measurements, we hope. Welcome to Puma Punku. Yeah, there are two kinds of stone here. There's the gray andesite and the red sandstone. And so we'll see how it's an interesting combination of stones, because the quarry for the red sandstone is over those mountains, about 9 miles in that direction. And the andesite comes from Cerro Capia, which is 70 kilometers or 45 miles that way. Okay, now we know that the H blocks have major magnetic anomalies.
Like in Lego, something you should put exactly one on the other side. But it's a rock with a corresponding bevel.
So look at the size of these foundation blocks. Red sandstone, this one estimated at 131 tons. And this one sunk in the ground.
It had an effect of the surface by making it that smooth. Yeah, it sort of flakes a little bit on its edges. It's not, when they treated or did this, it affected the surface slightly compared to what's underneath to get it that fine finish. It affects the surface just a fraction by forming it. I don't think these would have moved, otherwise this would be out of alignment.
Right.
Unless people move. I couldn't imagine people move.
So they're yelling us to have to get out.
Whoop.
But anyway, we think that's fine.
No, we did. We seemed very well. But have a look at that one over there. But some way to use the, for example,
So I do always show this off, but it's very important because, again, the H blocks were not created in a mold. They are different dimensions. Each one is unique. And one of the H blocks was never finished. You see the super flat surfaces, crisp corner here. Then we go to the next one, rounded corner, rough, rounded corner here. So this means that this H block was never finished, whereas the others were. Now it's quite clearly obvious that something or some things happened here that were devastating. Of course, part of the site was blown up in the 19th century in order to create the rail bed for the railroad that's over here, but it also looks like something devastating happened in terms of a natural cataclysmic event. Because again, if we look at the foundation blocks, it appears as if this was the foundation made up of huge blocks of red sandstone. And then the ground appears to have liquefied here, because this one is at an angle in the ground. So again, my theory is that there was a cataclysmic event that came from Lake Titicaca in the background. Mount Capia, which is a volcano, could have exploded 12,000 years ago, according to our theory about the... But this is also where it gets interesting, because if you count the levels, you see it's, in general, it's sandstone, 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 andesite.
on the corner, where you need strength.
Actually, the whole thing, if we go down this way, you see the upper level was andesite. So this responds to a magnetometer because it's magnetized, maybe naturally or maybe enhanced. But the sandstone is neutral, so it's like four insulating layers, and then a band going all the way around this pyramid, which could have been energetic, creating an energetic field in the center of Puma Punku.
Is that right?
And what would this channel be used for? It's way too big for moving water, like rainwater. And if we go inside, then you can already see that it responds to sound. And why would that be? Is this whole thing a vibrational energy generating system of some kind? And then you can see where the excavation was done. You can see how deep. They dug down more than a meter, so that's possible evidence of a catastrophic wave of mud coming and hitting. And why have they not excavated above? Are there more rows of stones like this located here as well? Quite good precision. So again, the Tiwanaku were a Bronze Age culture, existing from maybe 100 AD to about 1000 AD. There's no way they could have done precision stonework like this. They couldn't have moved the stones, multi-ton blocks from either 9 miles that way or 45 miles that way. So that's why we continue to return again and again to Puma Punku, because we have to figure out who made it and when. Cliff, you're an engineer from Australia, so you know how things are made. You know what level of technology is required to make something. You know what hardness of a tool has to be used to work on hard stone like this. So the conventional academics still say this was made by a Bronze Age civilization called the Tiwanaku. Your thoughts?
First of all, bronze is soft. It cannot handle amosite and the rock hard stone here. Then to do it at a perfect precision, you try use a hammer and chisel and get a perfect 90-degree corner. You can never do that. And then on top of that, all these stones are so different, they're all designed, like from a drafting or a drawing, to design them all for their specific purpose, specific place. Bronze Age, always common, always similar, and very poor finish. The finish on these are smooth like glass, and that's after thousands of years. Cannot be done in a Bronze Age culture. Has to be a pre-advanced culture that was since lost the knowledge of that. Has to be.
Buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes.
Okay, we're at Tiwanaku on the Altiplano of Bolivia. And today what we're going to do is use two measuring instruments. One is a magnetometer or Teslameter, and the other one is a simple compass. And we're going to see if we can find any anomalies in the stones here at 13,000 feet above sea level.
Welcome to Tiwanaku. Irene, Estela, Brien, and Clifford. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
So why are we getting so much variation in terms of the compass? If the stone contains magnetite, then it should be reasonably consistent, but it's, as you can see, it's spinning one way and another way. So let's not get my opinion, let's talk to an Australian engineer. So Cliff, what do you think?
Yeah, well, when I look at the magnetism, you see that it varies through the block, but on that ground there's no magnetism. In the block, there's varying magnetism from one side to the other, and it's not consistent. So that's suggesting that it's been affected in some way and not a naturally occurring magnetism. It is a result of some sort of effect on the stone.
So again, why is there so much variation in the magnetism of that stone? So here we have the subterranean temple or chamber, and this is where all of these heads are located. Some believe they represent different people from around the world, but they are rather crudely made, and they're also pretty rough. So a new possible insight here at Tiwanaku and Puma Punku is that the magnetic anomalies are more obvious in the stone, the andesite, which has been shaped. The large monolithic ones that have flat surfaces, very slight variation in magnetism and Tesla meter readings, but the H blocks and some of the other shapes that have signs of manipulation, I'm not going to say cutting, I have no idea what kind of technology was involved here. Sure as hell wasn't bronze chisels, but those stones appear to have more magnetic anomaly, and so possibly that gives us an insight into the technology involved in shaping the stone, something quite possibly beyond our present technology.